Hello, Internet. This is MrWartburg, bringing you the first episode of the MrWartburg Show. Alongside me for my inaugural episode is my good friend Chris Parson. Say hello.
Hey, what's up?
You needed a prompt to say your name. Good to know. This is going to be a fantastic first episode. Really looking forward to it. Because the topic is Star Trek. That's why I'm looking forward to it.
I'm just hurt that I don't get a cool nick.
Well, it's my username. Okay, my name's actually Thomas Ullman. Nickname, username, gamertag, Rooster Teeth username. I think my fanfiction writing name, MrWartburg. I might have changed that last one. I can't really remember. It's just what I go by, and a lot of people on the internet know me just as Wartburg, which is kind of weird, but also kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I roll with it. As I said, the topic for this first episode is one of my favorite topics ever, and that's Star Trek. And it's also one of the favorite things of my co-host for this episode.
Damn straight.
We're both lifetime Trekkies, as are our fathers, who got us into Star Trek, which is awesome. And we're going to talk about something we both experienced this summer because we actually live pretty close to where it happened. At the Mall of America this summer was the Star Trek exhibit, which I believe wrapped up Labor Day weekend, if my memory serves. And I went and saw it August, I want to say 30th? Chris, when did you go see it?
Oh, jeez, I went...
I know you went well before I did.
Yeah, I want to say second weekend in August.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because you told me about it. That's how I found out about it.
Yeah, and think about the night.
Yeah, and it's still... I think it's a traveling exhibit to various places.
Yeah, there's two branches of it that travel.
Yeah, so we will link that in our link dump in the YouTube description below. So if Star Trek's your thing, make sure you check it out. And I'm a big Trekkie. I didn't find out about it until somebody told me. So this is the first year hearing about it. Definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth your time.
Oh, yeah.
I spent about an hour and a half in there with my dad. Him and me went up and saw it. There was a lot of really cool items on display, such as various costumes from the movies. They had all the captain's uniforms, or the crew's uniforms, from the movies and the shows. And they had a bunch of what do you want to call them, mini documentaries running about certain things. They'd have cast members and the crew and the people who were designing things come on and talk about what they were doing and why they chose those things. It was a really, really cool exhibit. My personal favorite thing was definitely the 12-foot hanging Enterprise refit from the TOS movies. It was huge, and I was like, man, I want that so bad. And then, let's see what else was probably the favorite thing. Yeah, definitely the bridge. They had a mock-up of the original series bridge from the TV show, and you could sit in there and get a picture taken. It was really cool. Chris, what was your favorite thing about it?
Oh, by far the bridge.
Yeah.
The engineering mock-up was nice. It was really interesting to see the costumes. Just, you never realize the detail of work that went into them. It didn't do them justice on TV.
Oh, no.
Especially some of the 60s series stuff, like Kirk's uniform, all the gold and the braids and all that stuff. They're impressive on the show, but they're so much cooler in person.
Oh, yeah. And they also had was that a scale replica of the Nemesis, Javelin shuttle?
I think it's the one from the movie. I think that was an actual prop. Movie? Pretty sure.
That thing was huge.
It looked a lot like the Burton Batjet.
Yeah. But his bat stuff was really space age anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see the reason why it would look similar, and since you're a big bat guy, that would make sense that you draw that parallel.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, future episode is going to be talking about Batman. He'll be another co-host. That one might be a 3-person one. And, we'll see and work out details on that going forward. Let's see, they also had a mock-up of the med bay from The Next Generation.
Yep, with Crusher's outfit.
But I thought the interior of it with the beds looked like original series. To me, it was that doesn't look right. The beds were just too tiny
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
It looked like a mock-up of In Between. Kind of.
Yeah, it was kind of like maybe it was Enterprise C's sickbay. The ill-fated, or the ill-fated one.
Yeah.
And they also had something that was really interesting to me, but I was sad how they broke it all up around the exhibit, was the space map.
Mm-hmm.
Of the entire of the quadrant of the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah.
I was really ticked they broke that up, because I would like to see it all represented in like a huge mural, like on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be really cool, because it was broken up into like 7 different panels scattered around the exhibit, with really no rhyme or reason for why they were at where they were. And it was kind of hard to get a real sense of scale about the universe of Star Trek. Still really cool to see. Like, now I kind of got a better understanding of where Kronos is in relation to Earth. Am I saying that right? That's the Human Federation way they say it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
And then, like, where certain events in the movies take place. Like, where in the universe does Generations take place?
Yeah, the Nexus ribbon. Where
does that go through? And like, how the Romulans all fit in. Like the Gorn are like in this little sliver in the Klingon Empire where there's nothing. That kind of, like, kind of really cool to see, but I'd like to see it in one big map instead of broken up.
Get a much better picture of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I kind of liked the phaser collection, though it struck me as odd. A couple of them were like, I've seen a couple better fan replicas on one or two of them.
And most of the ones in the case were replicas.
Yeah, like, I've seen better made by fans.
I personally thought the Klingon armory was much better than the Federation.
Yes, it was. Undoubtedly so. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that dagger with the 2 edges coming out of it on the side.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a cool looking dagger. Even if it wasn't related to Star Trek, I still think that was a cool looking dagger.
Mm-hmm.
It looks badass.
Oh, yeah.
See, what else did they have? They had the timeline of the ships, like all the various ships in the shows and stuff, which is cool.
They had all the captain's chairs.
Yes, they did have the captain's chairs, which was awesome. I want the Klingon one.
It looked the most comfortable.
It did. Unbelievably so. I'm like, you would have thought Klingons were more, form over function. But they were.
Definitely, yeah.
Plus, I mean, Christopher Lloyd was the captain, so why not?
So much padded leather.
Yeah. Which makes for a smooth ride when you're going at Warp 7.
Well, when you're trying
I'm told.
When you're trying to get a few humpback whales, you want a smooth ride.
Hell yeah. But let's see. Oh, they had the one costume that really stuck out to me was definitely the Zephram Cochrane one from First Contact.
Did you notice the buttons on that?
Yeah.
So well done costumes.
It was an awesome costume from an awesome movie.
I was really disappointed apart from how much... I mean, they had a ton of costumes, but most of them were of either Kirk or Picard. There was no Spock, no McCoy.
I know. That kind of was like... And that kind of brings me into my other point. It was $16 to go see it.
Plus another, 10 per photo?
Yeah, 10 for the photo.
And they didn't allow cameras.
Yeah, they didn't allow personal photography, which is kind of a bummer. And not much would have really turned out all that well anyway, but...
No.
It would have been nice if it was a little cheaper on the front end, if I was going to get the photo. Because, it wasn't something that was like... It was like a mini museum, and I got to spend $16 to go see that. It was kind of a thought that was always in the back of my head. It was like closer to the end going, that's it? Really? Huh.
Yeah.
It was worth it because it was a really good experience. Me and my dad nerded out, on Trek stuff that we normally don't get to do. But it was kind of a little overpriced. At 12, I'd have been satisfied for the money that I spent because we were in there for an hour and a half.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty much exactly what we were there for as well.
Yeah, and the photo, I don't know, my dad chose the option of putting the people in front of us, which was stupid, but I didn't want to piss him off, so I didn't tell him. But it still turned out pretty cool, and it's actually one of the photos that I'll probably be putting up over top of this video right about now, so you can see what we're talking about when you could get a picture on the bridge. They had a second like green screen area where you could get in front of like kind of like a mock movie poster about the exhibit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the Enterprise A flying in the background.
Yeah. Looked alright, but not worth the money, really.
No.
Just a green screen. You could make that at home.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that. Not that hard.
It really isn't.
Plus, it was also a decent trip to go to the Mall of America. We messed around, saw some cool stuff. It was a fun trip.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about First Contact makes me want to get to our first, like, other topic of the episode. And that is we're going to rank the movies. Which I know has been kind of overdone, and you could probably find it on any Star Trek podcast in the world. But whatever, we're doing it anyway, because no fucks will be given on this show. So, since you're the guest tonight, Chris, I want you to go in ascending order, 12 to 1, rank the movies.
Well, I think I can do that. You want to go back and forth, or?
No, I think we'll each give our lists, and then we'll compare them and explain why that is the case.
All right, well, I will start then. Number 12. I've got to go with Nemesis. I think it's the worst of the series. I mean, they kill off Data. It's just a poor done movie. Not well at all. Plus, you have Bane before he's Bane playing in a clone of Picard. So not
That's true.
The best thought through plot.
Decent concept in terms of the Romulans and everything, but yeah, I think you're right on that.
It could have been so much better, and it looked like they were getting, DS9's hand-me-down costumes.
Pretty much. What else you got?
11, I'd have to have Insurrection, probably. Not bad, but I mean, the graphics were awful. I mean, the whole face stretching skin people.
Yeah, but I would have to say a lot of movies when that came out had a similar problem with trying to do too much CGI face stuff. Mm-hmm. It just didn't work.
No, it didn't.
That was more of a Hollywood failure than a specifically Star Trek failure.
Mm-hmm. It's not that terrible of a movie, but it's not definitely not top 10. My number 10 would be the motion picture. The original, the first time the original cast came back.
Okay.
Mainly because the whole stupid cloud scene for a half hour.
I know it takes so long. Not gonna lie, when I was a kid, after watching that movie, every once in a while I'd have dreams where I was just like stuck in that cloud where they're flying through.
The V'ger, yeah.
Yeah, it was annoying.
Awful. I mean, yeah, you get to watch Chekhov's Scream, which is always hilarious, but...
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you have Spock being kind of a little emo, and
yeah,
you're so used to watching the original series, and then you get Kirk not doing any action.
Yeah, it was jarring.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, I'm sure if we were of the generation that watched it back in the '60s, it would have been great to see the cast come back. But
yeah,
I mean,
plus it was kind of a triumph of the fans too.
Yeah, I mean,
it had already been off the air for 12 years?
Yeah.
When that came out, and it just kept getting bigger every single year until finally Paramount was like, okay, I guess we'll make a movie.
I mean, that's the start of all your fandoms right there. You can go back to Star Trek with it.
Yeah. I mean,
without Star Trek, there would be no Star Wars. Without Star Wars, there would be no
Firefly.
No Firefly. The nerds would not rule like we do today.
Yeah.
You can
without that.
Take it back to Gene Roddenberry's vision.
Granted, Star Trek also stands on the shoulders of some great sci-fi novels of the turn of the century. Like John Carter from Mars, Edward Burroughs novels that kind of inspired both Star Trek and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, and plus, even to stand on somebody's shoulders takes a very singular vision to go get it done, where nobody else did, which is something that's really cool about Star Trek. But we're getting sidetracked.
If you look at Star Trek, too, it's not just... Yeah, they had great effects, but what really made Star Trek continue to stand the test of time is the plots, the scripts.
Oh, yeah, it's a tight...
So much social commentary.
Oh, yeah. And that part kind of
And that's where the movies lose it too.
In that, well, but that's where like Insurrection, it was like, man, that'd have been a really great episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, an admiral is like breaking the Prime Directive, like, but it's only for 5,000 people. You know, like, to draw a lot of parallels to the Native Americans is like, that's really cool. That's Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
So in that theme, you know, like, Insurrection is a very Star Trek film. One of the Trekkiest films, if you're gonna like tie it to a TV show. It's very in tone with Star Trek, which is something that maybe the newer movies could learn from. But it just failed in the execution of the story. The story's good, showing the story and how they told it, not the best.
No, and they left so many loose ends when they rebooted after that.
Mm-hmm. It was more like, oh, it's kind of just like a one-off little thing that didn't really continue from anywhere. No,
I mean, I would love to see, you know, the whole Commander Worf series, or Captain Worf, whatever they want to call it. That they're in talks to do. You know, they could have Riker and the Titan come in and
oh yeah, because they show that in a game. Your Star Trek Invasion. I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the Typhon and Worf's your commander, and it's all awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's keep going. You still have to get through nine films.
All right, so number 9, I have The Final Frontier, Star Trek V, with Sybok and their search for little G God.
Spoilers, not God.
Yeah, no. What does God need with a spaceship?
Just a really pissed off alien, probably stuck in a prison that God actually built.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like the religious aspect with that, I mean, it's a great beginning with Kirk, you know, falling off. What is it, Yosemite? He's climbing.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the row your boat scene. I mean, if you look at it from the aspect that it's comedy, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And you get the whole line of Kirk saying that he knew he wouldn't die with those two there. He wouldn't die when he dies. He's going to die alone, which
very true.
Isn't necessarily true since Picard's there when he dies. Spoiler alert.
Don't even.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Star Trek V would be my number 9. Number 8, I've got to go with 11, with the first of the Chris Pine movies.
Oh, the 09 film?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Nothing against
it. So
it.
you're ranking that below Into Darkness?
Oh, yeah.
See, a lot of people I know would rank that ahead of Into Darkness.
No. I like
Do you think
09.
it was just much change too fast, or what?
I mean, part of
it's a totally different universe.
Part of it's sentimentality, I guess, with the other films that I wouldn't rank it higher than that. But I have nothing against the 09 film. It just doesn't rank higher on my list. I thought it was good. I
think once you get into the middle of the Star Trek films, they're all really close. There's just a couple that are like way ahead of everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, for 8 with the Abrams, it's not bad by any means. It's very good. I thought it was a good way to take the series in a new direction. You know, it's always great to have Nimoy back with his little cameo. I thought Quinto did a good job as Spock. Carl Urban was fantastic as Bones.
Yeah, that was a great cast.
He would have made DeForest Kelly.
The cast is really good.
Very good.
And if you're going to reboot a cast, they did a good job.
Yeah, they really did. They can move on from the Spock Uhura love story anytime, but
yeah,
whatever.
Welcome to the 21st century, though.
Yeah, I think Quinto's doing a good job as Spock. I think they're just taking Spock in a different direction. Because he's already way more emotional than what the original was.
Yeah, I can see that.
But, you know, it works for their series. It works. And plus, you know, honorable mention, Bruce Greenwood as Pike was just fantastic.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So good.
Second best voice of Batman ever. And it's Bruce Greenwood.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Number 7, Voyage Home, The Whales.
Ah.
My parents' favorite, not mine by any means. Good film. Good
fun.
Plot, good film. Kind of dumb plot device having to go back in time to get whales, but it's always fun to see the crew of the Enterprise with the Klingon ship.
What awesome time travel episodes have there ever been in Star Trek? They're all like, really? Really? Like, don't even get me started on the temporal Cold War. Oh.
I still like the original series time travel episodes.
I like the mechanic of how they time traveled. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a fun movie.
It is. It's very
literally
much...
you check your logic at your door. You're getting the Star Trek crew in a fish out of water story set in the late 20th century.
It's a very good comedy. Once again, 4 and 5. If you view them as comedies, they're fantastic.
Especially for like so many, like the double dumbass on you and all this other thing. Just so many great moments.
Yeah,
and they string together very, very well. Let's keep going. We're kind of getting.
No offense to Shatner, but I think Nimoy did a better job directing 4 than Shatner did with 5.
Oh hell yeah! Not even a contest. What do you got at 6?
Number 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Oh man, too low for me.
Yeah, it's great. I love. It was always one of the ones I like to watch. It's one of the few you can watch stand alone.
Oh yeah. The only one you really need to be aware of is maybe 3.
Yeah, 3 would give it backstory.
And that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
Shatner sells it well enough. You can watch it solo.
Oh, my favorite thing with 6 was always the fact that they really reinforced the Kirk and McCoy relationship again.
Oh yeah, they brought the original crew like really. They served the fans very, very well.
Yeah, and great ending. The second or third star.
Second star to the right and straight on till morning.
Mm-hmm. Well, Peter.
Really wish Sulu could have got a little more action, but
he saved Captain Kirk's ass.
He did bring in the Excelsior and kicked all kinds of ass. But
very much so, Captain Sulu, which then was set in motion later on Voyager.
Yeah, with Tuvok.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5. What's your top 5?
Number 5, Generations.
Man, that's way higher than where I'd have it.
I always really, especially when I was a kid, I enjoyed seeing Picard and Kirk actually work together.
It's the only movie with the Enterprise D, right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they blow it up. Yeah. Riker crashes it.
Great ship.
Good job, William.
Yeah, you get command for like one day.
And then he's whining about not sitting in the chair. Your own dang fault.
You crashed the damn ship.
Yeah,
you let a freaking tiny little bird of prey take you down.
Mm-hmm.
Moron.
I guess my only complaint with Generations was I hated the way they killed Shatner.
That's why it's so low on my list.
I mean, the bridge literally fell on him.
His first death, awesome. Totally Kirk. I bought it. It hurt me inside when I saw it. It was like in the way that it should have.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't piss me off. I was like, no.
Now, it would have been something if they would have, say done Generations of First Contact and then adapted The Return, Shatner's books.
Which was awesome.
And they could have fixed it. It would have been fine, but no.
That book blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was a kid. If you've never read The Return, I don't know if you can ever call yourself a Trekkie because it's a fantastic book that ties up so many awesome plot points left after First Contact and Generations that it's unbelievably cool.
Mm-hmm.
Ties in the motion picture, ties in the ends of First Contact, Generations, all the plot points that kind of get touched on a little bit in Voyager, like with all the transwarp stuff. It's so cool. You gotta read it.
Well, plus, we all wanted to see Kirk fight the Borg at some point.
Hell yeah.
I mean, how awesome would it be if...
And then he's the guy who throws the switch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I would love to see if Abrams directs the 4th Star Trek, if they make a 4th one, bring in the Borg.
Oh, he would nail it.
Why not? If any
director, he would nail the Borg.
It's a completely different timeline. Why not?
And they kind of have to. Because here's the thing. Even in that timeline, they're going to run into that Borg. Because I love that fan theory of how it was Q who created the mirrored universe. Because in both universes, he goes back, like, he sends the Enterprise, or what happens? It's somehow because he sends, Enterprise in the way of the Borg, and the Borg become aware of Earth.
Yeah.
He's actually sending the Borg back in time. I mean, he's sending the Enterprise D back in time to when, the Borg are still in the Delta Quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they realize, oh, we need to go to this one place on Earth. And so they and that's how they realize they have to go back in time to, like, stop humanity and everything. And then when they go back in Enterprise and land on the planet and get frozen and they'd get uncovered on Enterprise, Zephyr Cochrane warned everyone about the Borg. In the Mirror Universe, they took him seriously and started building an empire to defend against the Borg originally, and then it kind of got mutated into what is the Terran Empire. Mm-hmm. In the regular universe, they didn't take him seriously at all because they thought he was just a crackpot who was dying. A revolutionary, yeah, but he was dying and he was crazy.
Yeah.
And that was how the Mirror Universe was started, because of Q and the Borg. That was really, it's a really cool theory. I love it.
Yeah, Q just messing with him again.
And I would love to see the Borg brought into it. But let's keep going so this doesn't take forever.
Oh, all right, number 4, Search for Spock.
Okay.
Good film. Hate the scene where they kill David, but without 3, you would not have 6.
Yes. And what else we got? What are our top 3?
Number 3, I have Into Darkness. I really enjoyed that. I don't know. I thought Cumberbatch did a very good job as Khan. Completely different than Montalban's portrayal. Very good.
And totally badass.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when they're storming that, like, what was the name of that ship again? The big-ass ship?
Oh, RoboCop ship, yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, but when they're storming the ship and he's just taking names of all the guards, I'm like, dude, yes. Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. This is awesome. And then when he, like, turns and... Oh, man, it was the showdown between him and Spock.
Well, there's so many good redone lines from the Wrath of Khan and from Spacey.
It gets a little cheesy when Kirk dies, but...
A little bit, but I enjoyed it, for a Star Trek fan that should like it.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
It's a total ripoff, but
I
it's
think
good.
I can tell what your top 2 are going to be, because they're the exact same as mine.
Number 2, First Contact.
Called it.
The best, absolute best of the Next Generation series. Just so well done. I just watched it a month ago for the first time in years. Just such a good movie.
And it was my first introduction to Steppenwolf. So I can thank Star Trek both for my love of that song in particular and Star Trek.
I mean, seriously, how awesome with that in the Phoenix, it pop in a little bit.
Holy shit, I forgot something. We can't take off without it. Should we abort? No. I got it. And he puts it in. Awesome. Oh, God, I love that scene.
So great. Plus, you really see Riker's potential,
Oh, yeah.
You have Picard busy battling the Queen on the ship, and Riker's handling the weight. Plus, the whole scene, just the whole jukebox scene with Troy getting drunk and all that, it's hilarious in parts.
Yeah, and, like, when you first see Enterprise E, like, right in the intro, ship. when it banks around, you're like, right as it's going to take off for warp, you're like, oh my God, that ship. That's sexy. That ship is powerful. I want it. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite ships, which is another topic we'll be getting to when I'm done with my rankings. So what's your first one?
Ship. Wrath of Khan, hands down. Absolute favorite. You had the best villain in history versus my favorite captain and the crew. I mean, it's fantastic. You have the sacrifice of Spock at the end, which I hate because then I can't just watch 2 by itself, and I have to watch 3.
First movie I cried in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Very first. I was 6 the first time I saw that. When First Contact came out in 96, my dad made me watch the original series with him, and it was one of the best experiences. Totally changed my life. And 2 specifically was like, damn. It got me.
I don't even remember the first time I watched it. It's just been there my whole life.
hit me right in the feels.
Plus, you had Ricardo Montalban as Khan. I mean, the class there is awesome.
And the cast is all awesome. Like, yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, you had. I mean, it's a miracle.
It's on Netflix right now. Everybody should go watch it. If you're not somehow watching this and you're not a Trek fan and you're watching this because I sent you the link or something and you found it by accident, go watch Wrath of Khan.
Skip the motion picture. Go straight to the Wrath of Khan.
Even if you're not a Trek fan, it's an amazing film, and it will make you a Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, I don't know if we should be friends anymore. It's that serious.
It's serious. Everything that I mean, they brought back the villain from the series, and they
Oh, yeah.
Just perfect. They had the new costumes. They looked good. Shatner had a better toupee. You know.
Yeah. So I'm going to be going through my list now, probably a little quicker than Chris's since we both kind of chimed in on the movies as we went. Bottom and top are like the exact sames on both of ours. 12 is Nemesis for me as well. Just an all-around, just a mess of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really great visuals. Honestly, the Romulan plot, cool. I would love to see it well done. But the stuff with like B4 and the Andorian and like, I mean not the Andorian, the android and like just the Rikers and Troy's Redding, didn't need to see it. Just reference it. We don't really care that much.
Have you seen the deleted scene with Will Wheaton?
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah, barely.
He's in like 8 scenes that get cut out.
Because it's Will Wheaton.
Yeah, and like the scene at the end with the new first officer, didn't need it. Stupid. Like they lost they lost the tone of Star Trek in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a Star Trek movie.
No.
They were trying to keep up with all the action stuff that was coming out, post pre-sequel Star Wars films and everything, and they just totally bombed on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Did have a hell of a jump scare sthough when Riker's in the bowels of the ship chasing after that Riemann or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Scared the shit out of my dad in the theater.
Riker was always my favorite character of Next Generation. So.
Okay. My 11 is actually Generations. The fact that they disserviced the character of Kirk that badly at the end, how he came back and the fight and everything was great. The scenes in the Nexus, great. Nailed Kirk and all these other things, right? It was going so well, and then all of a sudden, that's how he dies. It's kind of unforgivable given who made the movie. Star Trek directors and writers, how do you do that? Unless they just wanted him dead so that people would stop asking for him to be in the next one. I don't know.
All they have to do is somehow have him jump through into the other dimension. Have, your current 80-year-old Shatner.
Oh, yeah.
Have him be in the next Abrams one. Come back, get old Spock, and go back.
Because Prime Spock's 160, which means Kirk's been dead for 50 years, at least.
Well, but you look at it, so Kirk dies in the Nexus, or blowing it up, right?
But no, he's dead. He's dead.
But if they,
No.
Unless they give a nod to the return. No,
they're not going to do that. That would make it basically be saying, oh, you're a new audience that's never really seen Star Trek before, you're entirely fucked going into this movie. They'd never do that.
I still want to see Shatner.
They would have no idea how Shatner shows up if they went that route. It'd be totally out there. Let's see. My 10, Insurrection.
Yep.
Like I said, could have been a really awesome Star Trek episode. It would have been a really great, two-parter or something,
The effects bring it down so much.
It did. It felt like they were under-budgeted.
They were.
For what they wanted to do. But the scope of the movie was very Star Trek. And it always kind of resonated with me in that I love the angle of, when Kirk's confronting the Admiral, how many before it becomes wrong? 50,000? 100,000? A million? That conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Pitch perfect. Picard. Nailed it. All the characters in that movie, of the core group, great. They were all served really well, and they all actually had a purpose, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good Star Trek movie, under-budgeted.
It would have been better as an episode.
It would have been better served not at a theatrical release. Because, like you said, it didn't tie into any of the previous films. All of a sudden Geordi doesn't have a, all of a sudden he has eyes now? What? What's going on? Would have been that could have been something that strung along.
Well, he has eyes in First Contact already.
Yeah, but, now he has real eyes. His implants are, growing,
Mm.
And, that would have been really better served long-term in the show. What happens after? Because, all of a sudden now his eyes, are they failing again, or are they healed? That kind of thing would have been a really cool subplot. 9, the motion picture, for the reasons we mentioned, it's really slow.
It's really a miracle that Wrath of Khan got made after that.
Oh, yeah. Very much so. Very slow. And, there's really nothing that makes you go, I want to watch it again.
There's no action at all.
There's no rewatchability to it. Not really.
No, it's worth watching once and fast forward through the cloud scene.
Yeah, which still takes 5 minutes.
At least.
Number 8, Final Frontier. It was just the way the movie was like made and structured made me go, kind of like squint and go, what? A couple times. But like you said, I like the ending with like the being and beyond the middle of the galaxy. That was really cool. And that touched on like a couple things from the original series about the galactic barrier and everything. 7. I'm gonna put Search for Spock, because outside of the breaking of the Enterprise scene is really cool. The destruction of the Enterprise is cool.
That made me cry worse than Spock dying.
Yeah, but the rest of it's just kind of filler. Until David dies.
Yeah.
Although,
you do get Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon.
Which was awesome. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
He was a character.
And it's the first time you see Kirk actually kick ass in a fight since the original series.
Yeah, that's true. But that, for me, doesn't save it. My 6, I'm going to go Voyage Home. Really good comedy. It's a fun movie. I will watch it anytime it's on. But I'm not going to go seek out to watch it. It doesn't grab me the way that the other top films did. That I will go rewatch them with a purpose to rewatch them. What am I on? 5? 5, yes. Into Darkness. It was very much new kind of filmmaking, all action all the time, pretty much. But it had some really cool beats, like the Prime Directive stuff in the beginning. Khan was obviously awesome because it's Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's fantastic in literally anything he does.
I still don't understand why fans don't like it.
I don't either. I think it's because, in this
day
and age,
do they see it as too much of a ripoff?
Anything similar gets degraded on the internet. Give it a year or two, it's going to start coming back in the rankings and being higher, and everyone's going to go, we were a little too harsh on it, I think.
What did you think of the Klingon appearance?
Again, underserved. Like, he's got to be going somewhere in number 3 with that movie. There's got to be a reason the Klingons were shown that sparingly to the point where they were deleted in number 1 in the '09 film, and then shown that little, but still in a badass, intimidating presence in number 2. He's got to be setting him up for something great.
I did not like the bird of prey look.
Well, that was a scout ship. That wasn't a full-size bird of prey.
True.
So I think if they're going to show a bird of prey, it's going to be a lot bigger and cooler.
I always loved the look in the original series and Next Generation.
Hell yeah. Let's see, my number 4 is the other new movie, the '09 Star Trek. Really great movie, a lot of fun, good film. Just not a quintessential Star Trek film for me.
I think Into Darkness is
not enough to unseat the top 3 for me.
No, I think Into Darkness is much more in the feel of the original series with the whole colorful planet at the beginning and all that. The one that
drags me down for Into Darkness is a major plot hole. They completely do away with the need for starships.
With the transporter?
Yeah. He can now teleport from anywhere right to the Klingon homeworld. Really? That's what we're going with?
Yeah, plus you have Khan's super blood.
All they would have had to do is make Khan have built this badass, awesome ship when he's working undercover for the government. There you go. Plot hole gone.
I mean, how it should have ended tackled that movie perfectly.
Yeah, they did.
The loopholes. Plus, I love the fact that it
would have needed a massive power source.
Yeah. But the classic series, I mean, compared to the other series, the classic series was so colorful, partially because it was in the 60s. With the whole hippie movement, but I thought they did a good job with this one.
Oh yeah, it was a good movie.
When
Greenwood dies,
yeah,
it got me.
Mm-hmm.
But
next,
my top 3, just keep this rolling because we're already at like 40 minutes. Is Undiscovered Country. Love it, great villain, and Christopher Plummer. I think the second best Star Trek villain in a film.
Fun fact: Chancellor Gorkon is the voice of Ra's al Ghul on the animated series.
I knew that. Now the audience does too.
He's
and
also
here's where
in,
I'd put them, the
I think
more
he's
you
in
know
also
graphic,
5, too.
if I didn't want to get sued. First Contact, we've already kind of gone over. Great reintroduction of the Borg to the mainstream film-going audience for Star Trek. Awesome Zephyr Cochrane. You know, really diverse film. You know, like you got the ground crew. And seeing First Contact happen, very cool moment in Star Trek. And then, of course, my first one, same as Chris, Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. Just all around the best film, the best villain, the best action, the best, like, tension.
The best lines.
And so many great lines. You know, like, left you as you once left me, buried alive. Yeah, I don't know. And then, of course, the scream into the phone that I don't want.
I will chase him around the moons of Mania, around partitions, flame before I give him up.
Yes. A little too Italian in there.
Yeah, you know, it's what happens.
It creeps in there. All right, that's our movies. We need to quickly go through the next two topics. And these will be quicker, because I'm giving some stipulations into how many you can choose. Okay? First, we're going to do favorite ship.
Okay.
You can only choose... I mean, you can have some honorable mentions.
Why don't we just go with one?
You can have I'm going to have a couple honorable mentions.
All right.
I do have one clear-cut favorite, and that will be what I say last.
Okay.
But I do have three ships that I'm like, this is really close.
Okay.
So, we'll start... Well, I went last second time. You'll go first on the next topic, the last one. So, I'll go first with this one. First, my honorable mentions. As previously stated, the Bird of Prey is an amazing ship design. It's badass, it's stealthy, you know, it fits the Klingon culture and everything, and it's just a really cool looking ship. Second, honorable mention, the NX-01 Enterprise from Enterprise, the show. Really great, cool looking ship. What I'd kind of expect, like the first deep space ship to kind of go for, you know. I liked that it wasn't a warship, it was just an exploration vessel that had a couple weapons until the later seasons when they needed it to have more. Third, the Enterprise A, the refit. Awesome ship. When the reveal in that in Voyage Home happens, I fist bump because it's awesome. It's like, yes, the Enterprise is back. And then, lastly, just because it's so damn fucking cool, the Enterprise E, which Chris bought me a massive, like, ship model for Christmas last year. And someday, when I have my own place, I'm hanging that from the ceiling, like, above my nerd cave. It's gonna be awesome. So, Chris, what you got?
Well, let's see. So, for my three honorable mentions, I have to go with the D first, because it's the first ship that you actually see.
The D. You're going with the D, huh?
Yes, the Enterprise D. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Hey, it's YouTube, man.
I mean, it's the first ship that you actually see split the saucer section off.
True.
It revitalized Star Trek with that ship. You see the whole Next Generation cast. I have a lot of good memories of watching that ship, even though it was pretty much the minivan of ships.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not attractive in the least.
No.
It's a giant whale of a ship.
Yes.
So yeah. Following that, the Defiant. I mean, that's just the sexy little ship. And plus, especially, I mean, Worf's scene.
Tough little ship. Little. Yes.
I mean, all of Worf's scenes on that in First Contact. I mean, just even forget about Deep Space Nine. I mean, fantastic.
Yeah, that ship was... And it was two different, you know... It was so badass, they had to rename another ship Defiant.
Mm-hmm. Just great little ship. And then for my final honorable mention, I got to go with the E. Like you said, it was sexy, and I mean, I'd never seen a ship that could take on the Borg like that.
It was a fucking powerhouse. I mean, it was built to take on the Borg, and you're like, I could totally see why a fleet of those things would put the fear of God into anybody. Like, in Nemesis, they mentioned there are 6 other ships that are the exact same as the E that could meet them if they told them to come to them. But for some fucking reason, they told him, "Oh, you wait on this other side of the cloud that we can never contact you from." Like, oh my god, it would have been so badass to see all 6 of those ships, 7 counting the E, just tearing in to that fucking ship that the
Well, how badass is that scene in Endgame when all of the ships come in? Last episode of Voyager. I mean, it's fantastic.
I know. So cool.
Just
so cool.
That's like a jizz in your pants scene right there, I'm just saying.
It is. They blew so much money on that finale.
But
so much
good.
money.
I mean, I did not like Voyager that much. Janeway was alright.
The finale, though, they had some great
standout
standout episodes.
Great. Oh, yeah.
And if they'd have told it more like Battlestar Galactica, it would have been a way better movie, or way better show. And in fact, one of the writers from the first season went on to make Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like what they were doing with Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And one of their best episodes, where they find another ship that's been experimenting on aliens to make their warp drives go faster, written by the guy who made Battlestar Galactica, Ron Moore. And he's awesome. Great writer. Really gets to the nitty-gritty of this is how people act in space.
So for my actual favorite ship, I'd have to go with the classic NCC 1701. No bloody A, B, C, or D.
Are you going with the refit or the TOS?
No, the original series.
TOS. Okay.
It was a
Most
beautiful
people would
ship.
say the refit.
No, I never liked the refit nearly as much as the original.
Plus, for me, I would have to say for me, my first experience with Star Trek was the refit.
Where mine was the actual original. I mean, we have video of me coming home from the hospital, being born, Dad sitting down on the floor, and he's like, "This is the Enterprise."
Nice.
That's Captain Kirk. See that woman? He's gonna sleep with her.
Nice. It's a good ship.
It was beautiful. I love that ship. I have so many models and replicas of it. Yeah. So there's my list.
So, and that brings me to our final topic, because we're getting kind of close to an hour, which I'm cool with. Some of these will be shorter, some will be longer, whatever happens, what happens. But the last topic of the day, Chris, are you ready?
I am ready.
Favorite character across all of Star Trek movies, shows, books. Well, we'll stay away from the books, because most people probably haven't read them. But TV and movie, favorite character.
Do we get honorable mentions or not?
Same stipulations. You can have a couple honorable mentions, but I need a definite favorite.
You want me to go first, or you?
Yeah, like I said, you're going first on this one.
All right. Honorable mentions, I'll give you 2. Picard, just because... Well, I'll give you 3. Picard, because he was a fantastic captain. Much more of a diplomat than Kirk, but he got the job done in a much less violent way.
And it's Patrick Stewart.
And Patrick Stewart's the man.
We must draw the line here. This far, no further.
I mean, he had the absolute best ice bucket challenge I've seen, so...
That was great. Just open the checkbook.
He's classy.
Sipping on the scotch.
For my number 2 honorable mention, Riker. I absolutely loved Riker. I thought he was the equivalent to Kirk of The Next Generation.
We need to get a side-by-side of your facial hair and Riker's.
I've got it right now, so we could.
Okay, we'll do that. I need that file.
Oh, and then 3rd honorable mention. I love Spock, but my second favorite character of all time is Bones, Leonard H. McCoy. Fantastic character. DeForest Kelley is a fantastic actor. Gone way too soon. He's one of 2 people from the original cast that I have never met. Just fantastic character. I love Bones. But for my absolute favorite character of the series, Captain James T. Kirk.
Of course.
I mean, as much of a Batman fan as I am, Kirk was my first hero growing up, so just fantastic. Much more from the series than from the movies.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Wrath of Khan was good, but once you give him a kid with David, it kind of loses something.
Undiscovered Country, man.
True, he was badass in that.
I can't believe I kissed you. Must have been your lifelong ambition.
Is it with you anyway?
Yeah, that movie was like... That was, I think, outside of Wrath of Khan, the best Shatner movie.
Yes,
of the originals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Captain James T. Kirk was fantastic. Plus, I mean, as much of an ass as Shatner can be at times in real life and whatnot, he's just an awesome guy. You gotta love Shatner, you gotta love Kirk.
Yeah, of course. Alright, here's my 3. Similar in a couple ways quite a bit different from yours and many others. My first honorable mention goes to Data.
Yeah.
Just because I like, his backstory's really cool when you dig into it, like his creator and all his siblings and other things. And then the constant evolution of his character.
Oh yeah, the most really character growth of anybody.
Really makes him stand out. You know, like, there's a lot of really good moments of him. And then, which is why I brought up the books with him, is there's a book about him when he becomes human in a book called Metamorphosis, which is a great look at Data and how he'd actually react if he became human, and it's a really, really cool book. You should all check it out. And you too, Chris, if you've never read it.
Mm-hmm.
Great book. Second honorable mention is Picard. One of my all-time favorite characters, and I would actually argue, if all things were equal and we weren't in Kirk's timeline, like and in his time period, Picard's the better captain, like forever. For any other show, Picard's the better captain. If Picard and Kirk are in the same spot, Picard's the better.
I would have to argue that depending on what series and what point in time they're at.
But the thing is with Kirk, and I'm talking in general, of course, in the microcosm there will always be individual cases that are different, but Kirk's time, when he was in, there were still uneasy tensions between, obviously, when, between the Klingons and the Romulans and all the other things. Things were way more unsettled way more settled after him, and then before him it was just exploration.
Well, yeah, you could be much more diplomatic in Picard's time than you could back in Kirk's
and even
era.
Going into, say, Picard would have been like the best captain to go out for the first mission. Whereas Kirk would not.
Although he made it work on several occasions.
Yeah, but like Kirk, you wouldn't want that guy being your first contact with humans. Really. I mean, just on the whole, knowing his track record, Starfleet Academy, the Starfleet Admiralty's got to be like, geez, this is a dicey situation anytime he discovers anything. Because half the chances he's either going to fuck it or blow it up. But that said, my first honorable mention goes to Kirk. Just because he's such a fucking badass. No other words need to be said about that. But my favorite character of any of the shows or movies is Charles Tucker III.
Trip.
Yes, awesome character.
Archer was a very underrated captain too.
Yeah, but I think he was upstaged by his own engineer. Get the fuck out of here. His engineer was, he was just an awesome character, and the whole thing with his sister dying in the Zindi attack, and the stuff with him and T'Pol, and the cloned kid later on in the series. And his character growth too. You see him as this hot-headed, xenophobic person in the first episodes who hates Vulcans and everything. Then in the fourth season, he steers his ship in between a firefight between the Andorians and the Vulcans and is like, knock your shit off. That's a really cool scene.
And then he dies.
Season 4. Well, no. There's a hologram. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, Brandon Braga, you better have nothing to do with Star Trek ever again, or our fans will find a way to remove you from the equation, as it were. And of course I do mean by getting him fired, not by doing anything violent. Come on, Internet. But, yeah, don't even get me started on that. Peter Weller was the awesome. That's the only episode I recognize as the finale, Terra Prime. But that's just me.
Yeah, they really screwed up the series finale.
Yeah,
but why the hell?
They brought back Fat Riker and made it a hologram.
Oh, why the hell would you dress them in the Next Generation costumes,
I don't even want to. No. We're not even talking about it. That's done. We're at basically 55 minutes right now, more or less. I think that's a good place to kind of start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Here's my future plans if you and the audience is interested for this kind of show. Some episodes will be planned. Right now I'm looking at either a weekly or a bi-weekly format. Or bi-monthly, I mean. I've got several topics already planned out. I've got a handy-dandy notebook that I'm writing everything down in.
All right, calm down, Blues Clues.
My next topic is probably going to be, because I just had free HBO weekend. I watched a couple of these movies on the free HBO weekend. James Bond.
Ooh.
which is also a topic I know my friend Chris here
James
is very,
Bond,
very
yes.
familiar with. And that topic will be covering things like ranking the Bonds, the best theme song, the best film, like where we see everything going, comparisons between Bond and Bourne, because they were on at the same times on HBO, which is actually a pretty fun comparison. I got some good ideas on that. We're also going to talk about Batman and superheroes. Might have a Marvel one separate from all the others, though, because it's so many things to talk about with Marvel to keep it separate from all the other comic book stuff. And then Star Wars is obviously going to be a big one because of the upcoming movies and because it's Star Wars. TV, things we're watching right now, like favorite shows. We're going to talk about Arrow because Arrow. Favorite video games. That I'll probably talk about with my buddy Joey for sure. Some of these will be just me and Chris. Some will be just me and my friend Joey, who you may have seen in my other series, my NCAA playthrough for the Iowa Hawkeyes, which is now linked on your screen. He'll also probably be talking with me about our best fast food topic, where we'll build our ultimate fast food restaurant out of the various ones that already exist. And those are the topics I have planned right now. If you have anything you think that I would like talking about or a topic you think is kind of interesting and that you'd want to hear about, because I'm going to be doing research and stuff for all these other ones I'm talking about anyway, let me know in the comments below. As always, subscribe. Make sure you're actually staying up to date with the things we're putting out. And also look for this download as the MP3 on SoundCloud. I'll be putting that link in the description below. I think that about covers it for me. Chris, you got anything left to say?
No, just if you get a chance to go see the exhibit, go do it.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
It's a little pricey, but if you ever want to sit in the bridge of either the Enterprise D or the classic Enterprise, Kirk's ship,
yes,
definitely do it.
And of course, live long and prosper.